দিতে সক্ষম হন, কারণ শিক্ষকের কাছেও অ্যাপগুলো ইনস্টল করা এবং দুই জায়গার একটা লিংক হিসেবে ব্যবহার হয়। এটি আসলে একবার ইনস্টল হয়ে গেলে তার ডিভাইসে এক বাটনে প্লে করলেই পুরো অধ্যায় তার কাছে আসলে বোধগম্য হয়।
When the schools are closed for a long time, students find it difficult to study as they do not have the proper guidance. Hence, this is a great initiative for resolving this issue.
বাসা পড়তে কোনো অসুবিধা হয় না। বন্ধের ভিতরে ট্যাব থেকে পড়বো, ভালো মতন পড়ালেখা করা, বড় হয়ে ইঞ্জিনিয়ার হবো।
আমার লেখাপড়া কম, কিন্তু এটা বুঝতে পারতেছি যে ডিজিটাল বিষয়টা খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমার ছেলে এখন আর লেখাপড়ায় পিছাই যাব না। সব যখন হাতের কাছে আছে তখন আর টেনশনের কি। ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশে আমার ছেলে লেখাপড়া করব ডিজিটাল ভাবেই। নতুন দিনের শুরু ওদের হাতেই হইল, ভাবতেই ভালো লাগতেছে।
এবারে গিয়ে যাব, কোনো বাধায় থামো না, এবার বিজয়ী হব, কোনো কিছু আর আটকাতে পারবে না, আটকাতে পারবে না।
Our main goal is to make sure that everyone is moving at the same pace in digital Bangladesh.
Intelligence. With it, we can infinitely explore uncharted boundaries. For when technology empowers education and our intellects are interconnected, the race to accelerate the digital journey of education will kick off. With one entrance, we are entering a new realm of possibilities where intelligence sparks wisdom. Classrooms transcend geographical boundaries, and streamlined communication put the best resources within reach. Through collaborative creation, hidden gems are uncovered. As every detail is perceived, each child is understood. Breaking through space and time, our minds can journey to a world of wonder. And we stay curious as we navigate the road to the future, embracing a brighter and better world. That's not all. For educators, intelligence improves the quality and efficiency of communication. Wisdom flows to every corner of the world, and all children can equally reap the green benefits of smart education. Campuses feature ubiquitous intelligence, while students and teachers access networks anytime and anywhere. Self-service O&M powered by AI relieves the burden on IT personnel. And the cloud breaks the space limits to create an ultra-broadband, flexible, and green intelligence network. From learning to living and teaching to management, ubiquitous connectivity, convenient resource sharing, and refined management make campuses smarter, safer, and closer. Huawei Intelligent Education Solution is committed to cultivating innovative talent in education through connectivity, AI, cloud computing, and other technologies, and narrowing the digital divide to promote the balanced development of basic education. This empowers the intelligent and digital transformation of education as a whole, unleashing the full potential of intelligence. Huawei. Accelerate the digital journey of education.
ocean as the starting point of all possibilities. It's where we came from. It's where we are heading for. In the ocean of data, we leverage the power of convergence to unleash the potential in explosive data. Facing complexity, we adapt with stability. We make data storage clean, sustainable, and reliable. Facing changes, we adjust with agility. We enable efficient and on-demand data storage management. Facing bottlenecks, we create unlimited potential. We build new types of storage to help discover miracle of lives. Facing opportunities, we thrive ecologies. We respond to future business surge with innovative technologies. We choose for never-ending exploration. Green. Accelerate. Innovate. Let's embrace a green and digital future. Huawei Ocean Store Data Storage. Convergence of all possibilities.
When going to school doesn't mean you have to leave home, because they're already connected to each other. When nothing can stop you learning. When digital learning is needed, they can come to you. Welcome to a world where knowledge knows no boundaries. Technology can create new ways to access education, the foundation of the future for us all.
আক্তার কই যাও? আকাশ কালো হয়ে আইতাছে, দেখছো? বৃষ্টি আইতাছে।
বৃষ্টি আসতে দেরি আছে, 3টার আগে আসবো না, তার আগেই ওরে স্কুলে দিয়া বাজার কইরা চলে আসবো।
ঝড় বৃষ্টি কি তোমার জিগায় নাকি আজকে?
আরে না, আমার পোলার কাছে ট্যাব আছে, ও ইন্টারনেট দেখে আমারে কইছে।
ডিজিটাল এডুকেশনের মাধ্যমে আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা খুব সহজেই সব শিখে নিতে পারছে। আর এখন স্কুল বন্ধ থাকলেও তারা আর পিছিয়ে যাচ্ছে না। রাত হোক আর দিন হোক, ওদের যখন যা কিছু দরকার হয় খুব সহজেই ডিজিটাল এডুকেশনের মাধ্যমে জেনে নিতে পারছে। আমাদের কাছে এমন শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থা শুরু হওয়াটা অনেক আনন্দের।
Number of tabs will be distributed among few specific schools, children and teachers. These tabs are inclusive of Bijoy Digital School app and internet data. And with this smart device, the teachers will be teaching their students online.
শিশুরা যদি কোনো প্রশ্নের সম্মুখীন হয় তাহলে সেই প্রশ্নের জবাব আসলে অ্যাপগুলোতেই দেওয়া আছে। এরপরেও শিক্ষক আরো ভালোভাবে বুঝিয়ে দিতে সক্ষম হন, কারণ শিক্ষকের কাছেও অ্যাপগুলো ইনস্টল করা এবং দুই জায়গার একটা লিংক হিসেবে ব্যবহার হয়। এটি আসলে একবার ইনস্টল হয়ে গেলে তার ডিভাইসে এক বাটনে প্লে করলেই পুরো অধ্যায় তার কাছে আসলে বোধগম্য হয়।
When the schools are closed for a long time, students find it difficult to study as they do not have the proper guidance. Hence, this is a great initiative for resolving this issue.
এখন থেকে বাসা পড়তে কোনো অসুবিধা হয় না। বন্ধের ভিতরে ট্যাব থেকে পড়বো, ভালো মতন পড়ালেখা করা, বড় হয়ে ইঞ্জিনিয়ার হবো।
আমার লেখাপড়া কম, কিন্তু এটা বুঝতে পারতেছি যে ডিজিটাল বিষয়টা খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমার ছেলে এখন আর লেখাপড়ায় পিছাই যাব না। সব যখন হাতের কাছে আছে তখন আর টেনশনের কি। ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশে আমার ছেলে লেখাপড়া করব ডিজিটাল ভাবেই। নতুন দিনের শুরু ওদের হাতেই হইল, ভাবতেই ভালো লাগতেছে।
এবারে গিয়ে যাব, কোনো বাধায় থামো না, এবার বিজয়ী হব, কোনো কিছু আর আটকাতে পারবে না, আটকাতে পারবে না।
Our main goal is to make sure that everyone is moving at the same pace in digital Bangladesh.
Intelligence. With it, we can infinitely explore uncharted boundaries. For when technology empowers education and our intellects are interconnected, the race to accelerate the digital journey of education will kick off. With one entrance, we are entering a new realm of possibilities where intelligence sparks wisdom. Classrooms transcend geographical boundaries, and streamlined communication put the best resources within reach. Through collaborative creation, hidden gems are uncovered. As every detail is perceived, each child is understood. Breaking through space and time, our minds can journey to a world of wonder. And we stay curious as we navigate the road to the future, embracing a brighter and better world. That's not
Summit with the theme Green Acceleration and Innovation. Our summit will be starting shortly. Make sure you're seated. A gentle reminder to our guests here, kindly turn on the silent mode on your mobile devices. And for our virtual attendees, in order to enjoy the fullest experience of this event, please ensure that you have a stable internet connection. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to collect the survey form at the entrance. You will be asked to submit your answers by the end of this session to receive a gift from Huawei. Thank you.
ocean as the starting point of all possibilities. It's where we came from. It's where we're heading for. As the starting point of all possibilities. We leverage it's where we came from. Convergence. Is where the potential we're heading for. Explosive data. In the ocean of data, we leverage the power of convergence to unleash the potential in explosive data. Facing complexity, we adapt with stability. We make data storage clean, sustainable, and reliable. Facing changes, we adjust with agility. We enable efficient and on-demand data storage management. Facing bottlenecks, we create unlimited potential. We build new types of storage to help discover miracle of lives. Facing opportunities, we thrive ecologies. We respond to future business surge with innovative technologies. We choose for never-ending exploration. Green. Accelerate. Innovate. Let's embrace a green and digital future. Huawei Ocean Store Data Storage. Convergence of all possibilities.
And gentlemen, and welcome to the Huawei Connect 2022 Dubai Data Storage Summit. My name is Wafa, and I will be your MC for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, digital transformation has made data services ubiquitous, providing new opportunities and challenges for enterprises. And the theme of this summit revolves around green, acceleration, innovation, and all-flash powered data center. Huawei Storage has been in the global market for over 20 years and has won recognition from many customers and partners. But how can Huawei Storage help customers and partners create value together to meet different requirements of various industries? Ladies and gentlemen, and without further ado, please help me welcome our first guest speaker for this session, Mr. Michael Fan, Director of Huawei Data Storage Solutions Sales Department, to deliver his speech on unstoppable innovation, driving value to customers and partners.
Thanks, Wafa. So ladies and gentlemen, so this is Michael from the Huawei Data Storage product line. So today I'm very honored to be here to welcome all of you to join our summit. I saw a lot of old friends and also new friends. So this afternoon, we will try to make an interesting afternoon to you. In my part, I would like to share several topics. First is that how is the market progress of Huawei data storage product line? Second is that during the past few years, right, we see a lot of market changes, right? Also a lot of unexpected things happen. The pandemic issues, right? The trading issues, logistics issues, right? How Huawei keep ourselves innovative in the market? And what did we do together with our customers and partners to create values together? The third one I would like to share is that what's our vision for the future data center to solve the future challenges or the beginning of the challenge of the today, right? So these are three things I would like to share in my session. Okay, let's start. First, I'd like to introduce that in the past 7 years, you can see we keep a steady growth in the global market of 24% per year. And just 10 years ago, we are a niche player in the storage market. But till last year, you can see we are the market number 3 in the global storage market, which shows a very steady and a strong growth. If we look at some third-party report, also we see something interesting. 10 years ago, we are a niche player. Till the past 6 years, we are in the Gartner leader quadrant. Till last year, there's a report, and also this year, there's a report called Voice of Customer. Also from it's investigate also via Gartner. So this report represents the customer recognition of a vendor, right? So for both primary storage and also scale-out storage, we saw Huawei ranking on the top, even top 1 in the market. So this shows a strong recognition from the end users, and and with that, we really thanks for your help. So global-wise, we can see that we are serving more than 18,000 customers. A lot of them from the top banks, right? Top manufacturers, oil and gas companies, government departments, etc. Among the G500, Global 500, right? We are serving now more than half of them as our customer and partners. Among top 100 finance institutions, top banks, right? 48 of them already choose Huawei as their vendor and also partner, technology partner. So this is really amazing progress. Just 5 years ago, to me, this is impossible. We didn't see in the top customers like the top banks, right? Central banks, top manufacturers, right? We didn't see they choose Huawei as a vendor or partner. But in the past 5 years, it's a strong change because of our continuously innovation and investment, right? More and more customers recognize Huawei as a technical partner. So this is really a big change in the past 5 years. And you may ask why, right? Why more and more customers, partners is starting to work together with Huawei, right? So actually, we have some methodologies, which is very interesting. I would like to share with you. We have a two-wheel drive innovation methodology. One is technical driven, and one is customer driven. Huawei is a very customer-centric company. So a lot of our product improvement, right, is directly from our customer. I remember the first time when I was in Europe, the end customer is Deloitte. We are working together, and they give some positive feedback to our system, right? But also, they give us 46 improvement point, this from 10 years ago. And we accept 90% of their needs to improve our product. So this is a strong commitment to our end customer. And also due to the help from our customer, right, we built a lot of new solutions. For example, the latest ransomware solution. We get a lot of inputs from our customer to develop our systems. Another is technical driven. We are also having some advanced R&D labs for the advanced future technology. For example, with that, right, we have the ransomware database. This actually is not making any money before. And we have the R&D lab to develop this for already more than 5 years. And today, we put this in our new solution. Another example is North Plus, right? So in the future data center, the networking now we saw that we have the IP network, we have the fiber channel network, we also have the InfiniBand network, right? So it's very complex in the data center. How to make them more simple? Our vision is that we'd like to help the customer partner to build an all IP-based data center. So the North Plus is an IP-based technology with low latency and zero packet loss. This is all due to our R&D lab. So this is two-wheel driven. And if we look at the storage itself, we have more than 10 years R&D development, right? And also we have more than 3,000 patents, 4,000 R&D engineering global-wise. We have 12 R&D centers global-wise, not only in China, but also in North America, in India, in Europe, although also in Israel. So we are using the global talents to work together. So we keep ourselves open, and we learn from the world talents to work together to build excellent products. So maybe you will ask, what's your vision for the data center in the future, right? So our vision is that it's an all-flash powered data center with a new architecture we call F2F2X. It's a flash to anything. So what is the F2F2X? Actually, it's compared to an older methodology. It's D to D to T, right? Disk to tape. But now, we are the first vendor to announce that in the backup media, we are promoting the all-flash solution. Huawei is the first vendor to promote all-flash storage in the backup zone. Maybe you will ask, so in the backup area, right? Why you use all-flash? Isn't it expensive? Not really, because in the backup storage solutions, right? Some key technologies. One is that how can you make the data reduction to make it more compact? Because the backup is regularly backup for most customers and partners, right? So how to reduce the duplicated data is the key technology. Huawei can achieve 72:1 data reduction ratio, which is leading in the industry, and 20% higher than the top competitor. And also, we can provide 5 times faster recovery speed due to the new architecture. And also together, we use the all-flash on primary and the backup, right? We make a 4-tier anti-ransomware solution. Later, my colleague will share the details with you. Okay, this is the new architecture. And let's see also some innovation we do together with our partners. Our partners in the industries are also very important. Giving an example, for the Siligence is a gene institution, a gene software institution to analyze the gene for the patients, right? Originally, their software, their existing hardware solutions, right? It takes 24 hours to analyze one person's gene, 24 hours. So we work together with them how to improve this. And later we found the bottleneck is on the data, read and write and analyzing, right? So after our cooperation together, we make a joint solution and shrink the time from 24 hours to 7 minutes. So this creates a big value to the end user, because that means the end user, the top hospital in China, right, they are able to make the gene service, right, gene healthcare service commodity, not expensive anymore. Another case is the CAFBio. CAFBio, this is also a software company for the healthcare. It's a HIS plus PAC software. In a lot of big hospitals, now we are trying to save the time for the patients and the doctors. For example, when you go to the hospital, you need to the doctor asks to write a ticket to for the X-rays, right? CT pictures. How long it take? Normally it take 1 hour or something, right? And you need to wait, right? Wait for the result, and then go to the doctor in a queue, right? It take 2 to 3 hours easily. So with such a long time, the hospital is very crowded. The doctor is very painful. The doctor is waiting a lot of time for the X-ray pictures, CT pictures, right? But now, the digitalization is trying to help them to solve this issue. Some hospitals are already making digital images, PACS images, right? After the CT, the doctors can directly see from their computer. But the problem is that the image is so big. So for self-image, if we make a personal image, right, making a nice picture in Dubai, right, per picture, what's the size? 1 mega, right? 1 mega, 2 mega, right? Or a few hundred kilobytes. But for one CT image or one X-ray image, it easily can be 1 gigabyte to multiple gigabytes. So to open this image is very difficult for the doctor. And if you zoom in, zoom out, right, you need to wait another 10 to 15 seconds. So it's unworkable. And Huawei together work with CAFBIL, right, to make it real time. And per second, right, per second, it can read 1,000 images. That means 1,000 doctors can working at the PACS system, right, in parallel. This is really a big improvement. So what furthermore we are doing with our partners, we are doing the elite clubs, road shows, right? Fast track, that means the fast delivery of our solutions. This I want to give some more comments is that in the past 2 years, the global logistics has a big pain point, right? So I heard some customers, they place the order to another supplier, but after 9 months, they still didn't get the equipment. Then they ask us for help, and we deliver our solution to them within 4 weeks. So that's the reason we make a fast track for our customer partners. We can guarantee all of our store equipment, right? We can deliver within 4 to 6 weeks. So this is really a benefit for the end users. And also we are providing the POC labs, the service cloud, etc., to our partners. So altogether, we continuously drive the value to our customers and partners. So that's my presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Michael Fan, for sharing with us how Huawei storage creates value for customers and partners to meet different market requirements. Today, the digital era has found various data-centric data scenarios and various difficulties and challenges. How will Huawei address these difficulties and challenges? Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Frank Chong, Vice President of Data Storage Product Line, to address the topic of Unleash Digital Power of Data Storage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and my name is Frank, and this is a very traditional introduction, but I hope you guys have a good day on the GTEx. And there's a lot of the discussions around GTEx regarding data economies, and my focus today going to tell you how that is related with data, and also how this is related with your infrastructure, especially everybody sits here. The infrastructure you're handling is going to become a core asset beside the supporting the data, which is a strategic asset for your business or the institute you're working on. So I'm going to highlight 4 trends here. You're going to hear my colleagues talking about more trends later on. And there's a white paper we released regarding how important storage is going forward. But the 4th thing you see here, the first one you see, everybody knows there's tons of application you're handling. So I invite everyone to thinking with me together today. What is the application? Application is an encapsulation of a business logic in a digital format. So traditionally, we think data is a buy-side product. So application is centric. You invest in infrastructure based on application needs. You have new applications, you put a bunch of boxes together to support to run that applications. Then in turn, that application encapsulates your business and help your business to gain profit, to grow revenues, and to retain customers and grow the futures. But the question is, if you consider application also as data, let's change that view. It is actually an executable piece of digital data. It's a bit string. You can run it, execute it, move it around, and put it somewhere. When you need it, you can bring them up, right? So application I want to put in your head today is consider as data as well. So once you change that view, use that framework, what do you get? You have a unified view of application and the data together, which is all the future data we're talking about. And the future data, we heard about the digital economy and data economy I talked about earlier, and you heard it from the GTEx. But the question is, in the future, data will be the most strategic asset. Not listed in the balance sheet, but lives in your data center. Live in the infrastructure you are running, operating, maintaining every day. So this is going to change everybody's position here, how you position yourself inside your organization. Don't consider it as a cost center anymore. You are future production center. You're the enabler for your top line business revenues, but also you are the enabler for the bottom line profit. This is very important. You have to think differently about yourself, your team, and how your infrastructure operate. The reason for that is I was talking with a customer, which is a large retail in Europe last week, in Germany. They have $130 billion annual revenues with 6.1 billion customer store visits. So if you divide up simple math, that's around 20 euros or $20 per customer visit. So my question to challenge them is, how can you change that 20 euro to 40 euro, then to 60 euros for each customer store visit? And how can you change that faster? Instead of 2 years, can you get it in 6 months or 12 months? So are you going to improve your logistics efficiencies? Are you going to hire more people and build more brick and mortars? People will come. The most effective approach is to leverage the data you collect and understand your customer better. While you spend the time on your store, you can intelligently help them improve customer experience and at the same time increase per visit revenues. That's just one example I'm trying to give you guys because everybody's shopping every day, right? Every week you go to the store, which section you stop? So that's really important and also shows the power of data, which is the understanding of customers and also will become a strategic asset of any organizations. No matter you are a bank, energy sectors, your transportation, government, healthcare, educations, data is your future. That's why artificial intelligence is a hot topic. Because artificial intelligence help derive intelligence of the data. There's some aspect of that I want to also ask you guys thinking about it. If you have intelligence derived of a set of data, everybody knows the saying of garbage in, garbage out. So what does that mean? That means if you're using the wrong data, the intelligence you get is not going to work. So the first thing you want to think about is completeness. of the data set you are deriving your intelligence come from. So if you look at the second one, the real time. So if you ask your leaders, they're going to say, I want to turn that 20 euros to 40 yesterday. So real time became more and more important. And also you can do ad hoc intelligence of your customers and your business need. And at the same time, more data need to be consumed for better quality decisions or intelligence. That's a completeness. So if you derive the intelligence of only small piece or portion of data, you probably route it through a traffic is already jammed up on the road, right? So the second portion is once you have the intelligence, you have to reiterate, you have the regression. You have to make sure it has impact. So effectiveness and impactful, how impactful the business data and the intelligence you drive off is going to become a key how much you can be the multiplier of your business, or how much you can be an enabler, or how fast you can change yourself from a cost center to a production center. Everybody needs to thinking about that. That's everybody work on IT or business need to thinking how to leverage data that way. The third one is timeliness. That's real time. You wanted the complete decision, the impactful decision, and you need it now. Sooner the better. So you can lead the industry, lead your business, and you can compete well in the marketplace. So once you have the data, you can drive intelligence. What's the next thing you want? You want to make sure you have the trust and the confidence of your customer to protect that. So in order to protect it, you heard about ransomware case everywhere. You heard about the hacking case. So Huawei is I would say not many, or just a few, or only one ICT provider, one-stop shop for you. If you go to, my colleague is going to talk about the protection model Northrop Grumman developed it many years ago. There's a core asset. Around that, there's many layers of protections. We offer network, we offer storage, and the storage already done our part. Network already done our part. There's a lot of security capability built on by Huawei. We're going to help you protect your data. If you cannot protect your data, what happened? And your business is going to be jeopardized. So because you are holding the most invaluable asset of any organization, which is data. And the burden on your shoulder is really heavy. Not only need to create that intelligence, but you need to make sure you protect it well. So the fourth aspect I want to highlight, I didn't know where we already go. So the green one, the green energies. The green energy is impacting your bottom lines, and also it has a social citizenship. Every company needs to take a look at this very carefully. And we're going to tell you why you need to pay attention, because if you switch a single HDD drive to a SSD, as Michael mentioned in the all-flash data center, you're going to help 150 trees. And my colleague is going to talk about later on. So the common theme here is what? Is data. So data will become your strategic asset, and you guys going to be the guardian and also messenger and also enabler, multiplier of your business. Believe me, put yourself in that position, operate that way, you will change, you will make an impact. So in order to support this, the second thing I'm going to focus on is what infrastructure you needed to support this kind of the data. Everybody talking about the cloud. Have you ever wondered, are we going to move the cloud or not? In the past, it's all application-driven. Why is it application-driven? Because the application is the encapsulation of your business logic. But nowadays, you need to step one step back and look at it again and say, from business point of view, what do you really need? Each business will take a different pace. Their multi-cloud strategy will be different. But there's one thing never change, is if your organizations or you're a business, you're competing in a free marketplace, you need to build a core competence. And that core competence need to be differentiated from your competitors. And you have to make sure that it's sustainable. It goes. It's not like you make 100 million today, tomorrow you make 0, right? So everybody's infrastructure, remember that. There's no one formula. It's different. It's all relying on how your business model, the nature of your business, is that geo-distributed or is it centralized? If I'm operating an arena, sports arena, right? That's everything I have. All centralized in allocation, centralized in the population density that arena sits on. But if you operate a retail store, you're going to have 10,000 stores across a huge area, covering many, many millions of populations. So are you going to tell me those two organizations' infrastructure will be same? Definitely not. So you need to find one that suits you best and help you to build that core competence, which is the data infrastructure you need. That's the first step you want to have. The reason is, if you look at it in the center, that's everybody's today. Traditional data centers, we grow to the cloud, which is the public cloud. Everybody hear about it. And if you are geo-distributed data centers, and your business is geo-decentralized, you're going to have edges. You're going to have a ton of edges. So how do you consider those three things? So the way we look at it is, your core data center is still where your core competence relies on. Why? If you look at your IT workload, how your data intelligence is being derived, you're going to have fluctuations. But there is a common portion. That common portion is what you need to keep in your data center. Because definitely you can optimize better, you can use better performance, you can have more flexibility to tweak it to meet your business need. And you can overflow the fluctuation part to the cloud. What cloud gives you? It gives you an ecosystem, give you 100,000 developers, give you agilities. You don't need to put on your balance sheet, right? So now the question comes, say, should I go to the cloud or stay in the data center? So the main thing we do believe is future relies on the link between the edge and the data center, on-premise data center. That's your core competence. Plus public cloud. You're going to retain that in your centers. How do you leverage the cloud, the benefit it gives you? That's where the data platform and the data service you see in 4 places shows up. That's the infrastructure you need. Once you have the platform unified, you can move your data around, including your applications. You don't have to move to cloud to get that cloud's benefit. As far as your platform runs, anything runs in the cloud, you're good. Now you have the agility you have. But if a public cloud is building commodities, even sometimes very, very customized, if you go to Google Cloud, Google Blade servers is a very custom designed hardware. Either you come with a platform, uniformed, cross public cloud, your data center and the edge. You can move your data application around. Now we're talking about the bottom piece. Bottom piece is about how much you can optimize, how much you can tailor to your business, how much differentiation you can create, because you have a full stack optimization capabilities. So that's the way to convince your leaders, say, you need a balanced or optimized multi-cloud strategies, tailored for your business, not to follow everybody's single formulas. That's where your competence comes from. If the data is your strategic asset, you need an infrastructure for that. So the key message is have the platform, you will have all the benefit. Have the full stack optimizations, you will have the edge. That's going to help you. So in order to build these multi-cloud strategies, the things is data service. This data service, including the concept I told you earlier regarding unifying the application and data, considered as all data. So how do you build this kind of data service? You need building blocks, right? The building blocks is different. You can either use commodity servers to pile it up, or you can use very customized hardwares like cloud vendors. Or you can come to Huawei. We are one of the vendors to give you the full stack optimization in the centerpiece, plus the edge, and also cloud. So if you want to understand how this works, I want you to focus on, we're drilling down one layer by layer, right? The data service layer is next. So I want to highlight the product, but now in the context of trying to tell you the features and the product, but to change the view, how this product can help you being one of the building blocks to create that data service layer which you really needed to enable the multi-cloud. The first one is SAN. High performance, highly reliable. You can build across data centers. Once you integrate this to the upper level application platforms, is either virtualization platforms or container platforms. You have that service rendered, so the data platform or the application platform layer became your SLA mapping from your business SLA to your infrastructure SLA. So if your infrastructure cannot differentiate different level of a service you have, how could you offer different level of a service in your business? You're going to be limited by your hardware infrastructures. So your hardware infrastructure has to have different tiers, have the high watermark, which you can rendered or rendered to different level of services. This is one of the high-level services you can have. The second one is a NAS service. We have the SAN, we have a NAS. And this is all plumbing. If you consider SAN, NAS protocols, if you guys are familiar with storage, traditionally we consider storage protocol as a way to access it. You manage it purely as a storage box. So what I'm asking you to change the view is consider SAN and the NAS as a plumbing protocols. It helps you to make the pipe connected in your basement, If your water pipe, your gas pipe, everything is connected, you can link them to everywhere you need it, right? And it's like the cabling across a city. This is a very important view you need to change going forward. This is a new data type coming up. This is related with a variety of data service you can have. What we're trying to do is we're trying to tell people you need to position yourself beyond the protocol layer. Why is that? If you cannot break the storage protocol, you're going to be limited by the semantic of the protocol, which really limits what you can get from the data, how much intelligence you can extract out of data. If you consider the storage protocol as a plumbing or exchange languages, so that changes the story. This only enables you to plug this kind of mass data service, multi-protocol support. You can connect it with many different application platforms for different kind of services. So that way, you can offer better data service to your business. So this is a significant view change by how you look at storage. But you need this kind of storage underneath to make it work. You either use a plastic pipe or you use a steel pipe. You either use a propeller, accelerations, or you don't. But if you don't have it, just like if you have a very customized hardware piled up, you're going to be limited by that hardware. What happens if you want to do more? Can you implement parallelism across the board? Probably not. What happens if your data is centralized in one place? Right? You need high performance. You need accelerations. And you need that sub-microsecond response time to make your customer happy. So Ocean Protect, this is talking about the third one we're talking about related with the protections. This is, if you consider your data service as several layers, your business need, your applications level, or platform level service rendering, this is the enabler. If you have snapshot, if you have this kind of Michael mentioned flash-to-flash solutions, and you have the backup storage able to back up your storage, critical data in a short period of time, you have less exposures, and your reliability goes up. This is all about upper-level service. How can you compose them together to form a higher-level data service your business needs? It's not a simple backup protocol anymore. It's not about RPO, RTOs. It will render as how reliable your data is, how risky your data is. It's different language, different service level you're talking about to your business. The data is the connection you need. Infrastructure is the enabler. So this is the protections we have in place. There's air gaps, all sort of technology built up, including snapshot, continuous data protections, and isolation zones. So container is becoming one of the major ones. You heard Michael talking about flash to X. That's one way, or better composable way, to put your infrastructure together. But if you have an application layer, this is an example, right? Containers. How can your storage be more friendly to plug into the infrastructures? Can the container platform better leverage your storage for that purpose? So storage vendor's job is to make it very easy to use, very friendly to the upper layer application platforms, so you can render your data service better. So here's the 4 things I'd like to highlight, the building block we have in place. not only for the data centers, but also for the edge, depending on what kind of the service you want to have and what kind of the business you want to develop. You can have one of them, you can have multiple of them, but if you put them together with all the optimization tools we build up, the DMEs, I'm sure you're going to have a very solid infrastructure layer to build your data infrastructures. The next step is take a view from data service rendering by looking at your infrastructure needs. And we're here and we're ready to support you. And you have all the tools you have, and we have synergies across the edge, across the cloud, across the data centers, and also vertically, we do have synergy regarding networks and everything you need. So I encourage you to talk with one of your local representatives, and also we as a global team, we're ready to support you. And I'm happy to talk with you afterward. So the recap, the key message is you need to change the view. The data-centric is where the business connected with the infrastructure. So you need to take a very tailored approach of your data infrastructure in order to build up that differentiated core competence, because data is a strategic asset. And you need to use the best tools you have and to render variety of different level of different tier of data service you need, which is you have to build that core competence. That's all I talk today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Chang, for explaining to us how digital power comes from digital storage. Next up, we have our first guest speaker who will be sharing with us insights on how to deal with the mass data in the intelligence era. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Vice President of BGI, Mr. Luis Liu, to deliver his speech on the trusted choice for mass data in the intelligent era.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon. Salam alaikum. It's an honor to be here to share with you some experience of BGI and some stories between BGI and Huawei. You might be curious who BGI is. So I'm going to start from the three biggest scientific projects during last century. You might all know about the first two. The first one is Manhattan Project, about the nuclear bomb. The second one is Apollo Project, about the moon step. And the last one, it is Human Genome Project. It is done by 6 countries. 6 countries spend more than $3 billion to sequence a single human body. Each single nucleotide in a human body was sequenced at that time. And China didn't got a chance to take part in the first two projects, and we think we should take part in the last one. So we took part in at the very last time in 1999, just 2 years before the project finished. So what is BGI? BGI is born for this Human Genome Project. We were founded in 1999, and you can see this picture at the top, the first row, left side. That was the former leader of National NIH in United States. That was the former leader of Human Genome Project. And the first row on the right, second, that was the chairman of BGI. And we took part in this project standing for China, did 1%. for this project. The Professor Huan Mingyang, he is academician of Chinese Academy of Science, and also he is academician of all the other 4 international academies, including German World Academy and United States National Academy of Science, and so on. So BGI is headquartered in Shenzhen. We have many publications, more than 2,800 publications, and among them, more than 400 are published in Nature, Science, New England Journal of Medicine, and Cell. These are all the top journal in this biological field. And here are some subsidiaries of BGI Group. You could see at the top, we have BGI Research Institute, which is doing the scientific research and publication. And we have a college. We collaborate with many universities to do the education of PhD and master degree, such as Copenhagen University and Hong Kong Chinese University, Hong Kong, and so on. And this one, you could see a beautiful, very beautiful architecture here. This is the China National Gene Bank. Actually, it is proposed by BGI and designed, built, and operated by BGI, but it's owned by government. It's in Shenzhen. And next is the scientific journal. It is also founded by BGI, was by a former editor from the Nature. And next, we have BGI Genomics, which is doing the medical service and scientific research service. And we have MGI, which are one of the 3 players who could manufacture clinical sequencer in the world. The other 2 are all in the United States, and this is the only one outside the United States in China. And next, we also have agriculture and healthcare, and we have a future hospital in Shenzhen, which has more than 200 beds. And here's our global presence in more than 180 countries and regions. Here are some publications we have participated. The first one is the most famous Human Genome Project, and we also are the first one to sequence the genome of rice and panda and many important species. And on the bottom left side is the first publication about the metagenome. We call it metagenome. Actually, it is the intestinal microbiota. You know, everyone actually has 2 sets of genome. One is in each of your cell. It decides the phenotype of your body. And the other set is in your intestinal microbiota. We call it metagenomics. Actually, this is closely related to your mood, to your health, obesity, and many other things. We once do an experiment. We change the metagenomics in a fat mouse and a thin mouse. Change their gut metagenomics. Then we found the fat one became the thin one, and the thin one became the fat one. So this depends many things. And the second one on the bottom, it is gene synthesis. We synthesize this yeast gene, this yeast genome from nothing. That means you could, right now, the technology could make sure you synthesize a human, not human, a life being could be synthesized from chemical-based. So I believe in the future, which we could all see that not very far from right now, we could see a human being could be synthesized just using within the laboratory. And this is the China National Gene Bank I just talked about. It has many. We have two platforms in the China National Gene Bank and three kind of storage. Two platforms we call it reading platform and the writing platform. The reading is transforming the biosample into the digital sample, which is digitalized. We call it sequencing. The sequencer is doing this. And the writing platform is transfer the digital data to the biosample. So we use synthesize and use gene editing to do this part. And the storage including biorepository, bioinformatics, and biological resource, which including plants, animals, and microorganisms. And this is the reading part from China National Gene Bank. You could see these are all the gene sequencers. And on the bottom side, this is one of the most powerful sequencer in the world. It could generate more than 20,000 whole genome sequencing a year. And this is the writing part. I just talked about the gene synthesis and the editing. And actually, we came here in Middle East before the COVID-19, mainly for the prevention of the virus. We came here, and actually during this pandemic, we have developed a new paradigm to quickly react to this crisis. We built more than 100 labs in more than 30 countries. And in Saudi Arabia, we built more than 5 labs all around the country to make the throughput of a PCR test up to more than 65,000 tests a day. And before we finally transfer this to the Ministry of Health in Saudi Arabia, we have finished more than 18 million tests and trained more than 400 technicians. So we are not just doing tests here, we also empower our partners, empower the local people here by doing this, and we make sure the PCR test is truly accessible to everyone in KSA. And here in UAE, you can see we took part in the Emirati Genome Project. This is our founder with the, in 2019, His Royal Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed visited China, and he's with our founder, and they launched the Emirati Genome Project together. We collaborate with G42 in Abu Dhabi and build a huge lab there. We have and they have the biggest sequencers over there. And also we did COVID-19 tests for them. Here are our biggest sequencers. You could see if you want to do 10,000 whole genome sequencing, we have the most powerful sequencing machine. And this is just like a monster. It could be done within 72 days. And what does this mean? You might don't have an idea about how many data 10,000 whole genome sequencing means. So we're not just doing one project, we're doing many population genome projects. Like China Map, it is also a 10,000 whole genome sequencing. And UAE, G42, and Singapore, Korean, Japan, Bahrain. And so I'm like to give you an idea about how many data will generate from one human being. We all know human being, the genome, human genome is made up by 3 billion base pairs. And whole genome sequencing of one human being might lead to the data of more than around 500 GB. Yeah, so if we want to do a population genome project, such as in 10,000 whole genome population genome project, it will lead to a 5P data. So this is just a very small population genome project and will lead to so many data. And we are doing many that projects. So you can see right now we have already more than 400 PB data storage capacity in BGI, and it's increasing annually at 30%. And we estimate this will reach EB level in maybe around 2025. So here comes our requirement to the storage. First, it should be consistent performance And second, it should be cost effective. Third, we need it to be EB level scalability, and we need a global support on all these projects. So finally, we find Huawei and this system, Ocean Store Pacific solution, and because first it has been designed for hybrid workload, so it could make us simplify design for our ICT infrastructure by consolidation. And the second, because it uses this multi-protocol interworking, so it is cost effective for us because we just need to keep one copy of the data. And last, it is distributed storage, so it could be scalable to EB level. So so far we have already deployed more than 200 PB this Ocean Store Pacific solution, and we are having support globally from Huawei. So I think with the help from Huawei, and our business could be more steady and could be more reliable, and we could make more success. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Luis Liu, for the very insightful presentation. Huawei Data Storage has been working with partners to move forward for sharing success in diversified business scenarios. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our partner, Mr. Nizar El Ferra, Regional Channel Director from Commvault, with the topic of leading the way in the cloud era with intelligent data production.
Thank you. So thanks to Huawei for giving us this opportunity to be with your esteemed, with you guys. Listening to the past few presentations by Mr. Liu and Mr. Fang, Mr. Liu gave us a very nice story around the application of data and how this data is part of our everyday life. This is critical data, data that was used for genomic sequencing, some work that has been done for COVID, right? Stuff that was done with G42. Mr. Fang spoke to us about the full suite of products that Huawei offers. The center of this is what? Is the data, right? And there are 4 pillars that Mr. Fang spoke about that we need to focus on when it comes to managing this data, right? Storing it, whether you store it on F to F. And the first gentleman spoke about the flash stuff, so F to F to X, F to F to whatever the final target is. So ultimately, the whole premise of the event today is the importance of this data. So we plug into this ecosystem. And to be honest, I'm really happy when I see that we have partnered with Huawei, because a vendor like Huawei that has a completely comprehensive portfolio of offerings, when they choose partners to work with, they're choosing it on the basis of who can fit the bill, who can protect that data that sits on the edge, who can protect the data that sits in the data center, in the cloud. Another thing that I really enjoyed, let me switch to the next slide just so that I'll progress the slides. Another thing I liked about what Mr. Fang was saying was the core competency. And to be honest, it's very true. The core competency where, and that's where all of us grew up. We grew up in the data center. I mean, yes, the cloud adoption is real, it's there, it's happening. There's lots of cloud native applications. We help protect it. But the essence of where all of this stuff got generated, it got generated in the data center. And yes, there are applications that are in the cloud. There are applications and requirements that sit on the edge. What we help do is to manage and protect this data end to end. And that's where that cohesion between us and Huawei fits into the picture. So who are we? We're a data management company founded very long ago. We're an offshoot of AT&T Labs. Went public actually in 1998, focusing on backup and recovery. And as the story evolved, as the narrative became different, right? Obviously, marketing folks, they spend and spin stories, which is always nice. Effectively, we started to permeate through to doing data management intelligently, providing a unified data management platform. So it's an old company, been around for 26 years. It's an old company, but a company with a vision that's evolving. And we're adapting to vendors, specifically the likes of Huawei, working with esteemed guests like Mr. Fahim, who's one of our oldest and most respected customers. So we've been around. We have been entrenched in the Middle East, in Africa, in EMEA. It's headquartered in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. This is actually a bit dated. The 10 consecutive years, it's actually 11 consecutive years. We have now clocked the 11th consecutive year in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. But what's more important than the Magic Quadrant is the critical capabilities. So we score the highest in the 3 critical capabilities that Gartner publishes, which are edge, physical, and cloud. So across those 3 pillars, we scored the highest. And now, listening to what Mr. Fang said about the comprehensive, and I've always known, obviously, that Huawei has everything, soups to nuts, telco, data center, but just the plethora of their offering is really mind-boggling. And that's where we come in to complement that story. So, data is growing, data is sprawling, right? And that ultimately introduces risk. Mr. Fang also spoke about ransomware. He spoke about the problems that people face. And that's predominantly because of the amount of data that's being generated, because of the connectivity that introduces, viruses, malware. So there's other types of issues that are also being seen. Fragmentation. Fragmentation introduces failure points, increasing the surface area for the attacks because of the huge, space that needs to be protected from the edge to the cloud. Regulation and privacy also needs to be maintained, right? We live in an era where data breaches and identity theft is very high. So someone needs to protect it. Someone needs to provide you guys as online users the ability to protect your data and to be able to, ensure that not every hacker has access to it. And of course, the inability to scale and innovate across the dynamic market demands, right? With things like edge to cloud. Lack of automation and process. So there are multiple challenges that scale and data sprawl introduces. And what that is signified by, from a term perspective, that's called the business integrity gap. So what do? We come in, we help address those requirements or those challenges. We provide data protection. That's our core forte. That's our core pillar. We do security, right? But we're not a security solution, though we do have a security acquisition that we've just recently made, TrapX, that has been rebranded to ThreatWise. But we're the last, the last resort, the last resort that you can access before you basically, raise your hand and say, I'm busted, I'm out. So ultimately providing you guys with the golden copy to retrieve, right? So we're not the traditional data security solution, but we're the last line of defense. That's the word that I was looking for. We provide data compliance and governance by providing insight into the data and gathering some data intelligence out of that. Data transformation, again, our story and our comprehensive offering, all the way from the edge, protecting edge devices, protecting workloads that are in the data center, protecting stuff that sits in the cloud, and finally, the data insight, right? Being able to fire up dark data. So all this culminates into a unified data management platform. And for those of you who have worked with Commvault, you'll see that it's really the Swiss Army knife of data management. It's all encapsulated within the CommServe, The ComServe gives you a unified data management experience, providing all these different solutions, those 5 key pillars, plugging into all types of underlying infrastructure and workloads, providing that F to F to X, which, funny enough, I think the first gentleman was saying it, the D to D to T, right? The D to D to T is a backup concept, right? Disk to tape, something that was coined by our friends at Dell EMC. I'm an ex-EMC guy, worked on the data domain, worked on the Clarion data, Clarion libraries before they acquired data domain. So lots of knowledge, lots of brain power has gone into this platform that provides this unified experience, right? Something that protects your virtual, your physical, your endpoints, your office workloads, your SaaS native applications, all of that stuff baked into this platform. So that 26 years of heritage that we have, that we bring to the table, evolving as and when those workloads are born. So our relationship with Huawei dates back, honestly, it's over 10 years. I myself have been, this is my second stint back at Commvault. So I started in 2013, and now we're 2022. So 9 years ago, we had a very strong relationship. So the relationship dates back longer than that. But what this relationship offers is gives all of the customers the ability to tap into the data protection capability from within the Huawei portfolio. Global technical partnership, shared labs where we test our solutions jointly, the latest of which is our integration with the Ocean Protect, the appliance which actually offers substantially higher performance than the legacy vendors. And I call them legacy because the likes of Data Domain and others are good, right? But a lot of us are just used to that, right? The 30 terabytes per hour. When I think it was Mr. Fang, when he showed the slide, it showed up to 172 terabytes per hour per system, per controller, right? Of backup and about 150 terabytes of recovery speed. So it's substantial, substantially higher than the usual suspects out there. And we continue to do code development and certification. So one thing is we are the only data management vendor that supports up to 16 hypervisors agentless. So Fusion Sphere being one of them. Unlike a lot of the other vendors that require an agent in guest, we actually can back it up agentless. So I'm not going to claim that I'm technical, though I was at a point in my career. So the 2 key use cases, if I was to really stress on in this day and age, are the ransomware protection, which again were alluded to by my predecessors. What we would want to note here is you've got a main data center, a DR data center. In both data centers, we integrate with the Ocean Protect, again, the very reliable, scalable, highly available underlying appliance. The data gets backed up through the media agents, replicated over to the DR site, and we provide that third copy, which is air-gapped, right, in case of ransomware. Now, this is the classical model. Those who are in the cloud, those who have workloads that are in Azure or in AWS for that hybrid environment, we provide the ability to do ransomware deception. And that's what I referred to earlier when I was talking about our TrapX acquisition, rebranded to ThreatWise. So that's basically a technology that we have just recently acquired and integrated into our portfolio, and we're also selling it individually, that allows us to deploy decoys. Those attackers, those malware bytes and so forth, they go after those decoys, and fundamentally we intercept them and we block them. This one also shows the unified data management for the hybrid cloud, from edge to core to cloud. Right, so it's a comprehensive solution, right? Fundamentally, this unison, this marriage that we have with Huawei gives us the ability, jointly, to provide you guys and the customers with a complete end-to-end solution, bulletproof, right? And again, fitting into one of those 4 pillars that Mr. Fang spoke about earlier. So I end with this. So what's the advantage that this partnership brings to the table? Obviously, with the Ocean Protect, you're getting fast recovery, a lower total cost of ownership, and access to data, right? The first and foremost important thing is that, if your data's, I like also another thing Mr. Fang said, is garbage in, garbage out. If your data is not protected, right? If that data is corrupted, if it's been hacked, if it's been mitigated, or not mitigated, but you get what I'm saying, then fundamentally, you can't do what BGI is doing. You can't do your core business. You can't generate that revenue that you guys are basically busy doing, right? And we are the plumbing, right? We are part of that plumbing infrastructure that ensures that you can operate flawlessly. And it's an agile solution with security. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nizar El Farra, for sharing with us how intelligent data protection will lead the way in the cloud era. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest speaker will be sharing insights on data center modernization in education. Please help me welcome the CEO of Ankabut, Mr. Fahim Al Nuaimi, with the topic of Activate Intelligence in Education.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know, it's good afternoon or good evening. After this presentation, which we saw for last 1 hour, I think the both team, they make it easy for me. So we need the Swiss knife, but we need the Rose Rays also from Huawei. So we need them both. And thanks, we in Ankabut, happy to have both in our data centers and in our clouds, Commvault as well as Huawei, the Rose Rays, which I call it Rose Rays, and the Commvault, which it is Swiss knife. So we saw just with our brother in previous presentation, how much the amount of data will be generated. And I'm telling you, in coming 2 years, the data will be tripled even within 1 year. Because with the introduction of a new technology, with the introduction of AI, with the introduction of metaverse, with the introduction of all this, I was driving, we saw our friend from BGI talking about Abu Dhabi and G42. I was driving to Abu Dhabi last night, and since I crossed the boundary between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, I noticed up to my house near Shangri-La Hotel, I got 25 cameras flash. Then I said, oh my God, I will pay 10,000 radar fees. It was not radar, it was intelligence tracking my car where it is going. Where is this data is going? Who manage it? Who manipulate it? Who ensure the security of it? It's not issue of having the data and store it and make it protected, but also how to use it. Because for us as a business, either being government or non-government, utilization of this data and get value from it, commercial value even, that's the important things also. So the amount of data will increase, the resilience, securities, availability and demand, it will be very important aspects. So before I start that, just let me give you a little who we are, what we are doing. We are Ankabut, is the National Research Education Networks. We are having a private networks covering the entire country of UAE, where we cover the whole country with dedicated dark fiber for research and educations, with 40 gig backbone for education. And you know this data is generated from education. By the way, we have also genome sequencing archive. We have also nuclear data archives. We have drone data archived and stored. So most of the data generated from research and education these days, and from other entity like security. So Ankabut is having big network in the country, and we have a connectivity to New York mainland, where we connect the entire US, Canadian, Canary, and Japan to our network. And we have our sea cable all the way to London, UK, where we connect to the entire European countries for research and education, either in HPC or in the normal computing. So what is the driver today for the Ankabut? Infra consolidation, cloud service provider, and education enablers. This is the three key drivers for us. So we need consolidated and sterile data center infrastructures. We're looking for education cloud with unique specific offering, software-defined APIs, and we're looking for a cloud service like behave as a cloud service provider in education industry, fast education experience, and behave as a cloud service host and hub education ecosystems. Education knowledge enabler responsible for the next generation education. I think half, or let's say 90% of students of your sons, they have been moved to the sit at home. And instead of going to the classrooms, instead of going to the school. That generates a lot of data. If we go back, you see, I was asking audience in previous presentation. I was talking about the smart classrooms, smart campuses, right? Who studied in a smart classroom? Any one of you can raise his hand. He said, I studied in a classroom, smart classrooms. No, no one. We're talking about smart campus. Okay, thank you very much. And I think, so we found one in the audience who studied in a smart classroom. I didn't study in a smart classroom. So what I'm saying, that the future is coming, the amount of data, the amount of resources will be generated is huge. So we want to be the top technology enabler in this country, and we need also to have this data center with digital transformations. That's why we deployed full stack data center architectures from Huawei, and thanks to Huawei to support us to implement this full stack cloud solution with multi-service cloudification, having the iMaster also managing both HPC and the CPU or the normal data center help us a lot in managing hybrid cloud. See that today the data it will not come only from one cloud, and it will not go to one cloud. Forget it. No one can manage that in coming days. It will be multi-data center, it will be multi-cloud. So now for us as a user, when we have multi-cloud and connected to multi-cloud with one management, how we will manage our data tomorrow? Okay, now I have Commvault in my data center, but what when I go to another clouds? So that orchestrating all these database will really be a challenge in coming days, how to master all these things, either in latency, in security, in management. So with full stack cloud solution, we are able to do that unified management, multi-dimensional reliability and cloudification for our stack. So storage will play a big role in coming days. And we've been testing different type of storage, as our friend said, since the last all time, to Commvault, to Huawei, and we are testing and we are incorporating. But to be honest with you, when we implement intelligent data storage from either Dorado or Ocean Star, it gives us, enable us to be more high I/O, low latency, high bandwidth, and large capacities. It gives us more in fast provision. It gives us more in fast and better management. So intelligent data storage is very important aspect in coming days. So we can be reliable, elastic, scaling out, scaling in, because our customer has a lot of data will be generating in coming days. We believe we're working in some, I don't know if I can disclose or not, we're working in some initiatives for genetics for 100K sequence. and that's what required 20 to 30 petabyte storage. So if we imagine one field only, health, so I was not surprised when I saw zettabyte requirements and the previous presentations to store the data. If we focus only on health, how much the amount of petabyte will be required? And I'm telling you, there is no single data center can handle all these requirements. They have to collaborate to each other because it's too much. Health will generate health, traffic lights, securities, militaries, you name them. Research, agriculture, it will generate a lot of requirement by petabyte. If you need only 10,000 genome, it will create, I think, per each one is 500 terabyte. You need 500 terabyte storage for only the 10,000 genome research. And my friend here, he knows how much the requirement of storage for one genome test of one person only. So if we want to do 7.2 billion people around the world genome test, I think we need same like our Earth capacity of storage, which is really impossible. It's not possible. I was watching the 100K UK genome project, and the most challenging in that project, it was the data storage and data management. It's only 100,000 in UK genome projects. It's well-known projects. You can see it in the internet and speak about it. So managing data, high reliable, secure, fast accessible, scaling in and out, large capacities, storage system is very important. And really, to be honest with you, all versions of storage, either from Dorado or to Ocean Star or to the new one, it's really reliable, scalable, and we are depending on them. So if we summarize all what we talk about education, we need cloud business transformations, which it is really cost effective. Also, don't forget the cost. Cost is very important. Yes, I have a lot of data. I need a lot of storage, but at the same time, I need the cost-effective solutions because storage is expensive. So the R&D and the vendors, they have to think about how to make it more cost-effective, hyper-modeled, open standard, and also unified management for monitoring and clustering and auto-provision and optimizations. Data information decision, we need AI platform, analytic, big data, machine learning, digital innovation like software as a service, learning system, student system, smart classrooms. Imagine today only UAE, which we are not big, and if you're talking about how many students in UAE, higher education, how many students? 100,000? We have a hell of data from 100,000 students. But if you talk about China, 200 million people, only higher education, where you will send their data. Their student information data, where you will keep it, where you will store it. So the issue is big, we have to think about it. Really, I'm happy to be with you. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Fahim Al-Nuaimi, for your wonderful speech on activating intelligence in education. Over the past 3 decades, data storage has become the foundation of high value and evolved with the growth of data applications. Put simply, where there is data storage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the last speaker for this session, Mr. Babar Haq, Huawei Middle East IT CTO, to deliver his speech on Striding Towards the Intelligent World Data Storage White Paper. Mr. Babar, please.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Good. Thank you. Okay. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. it's difficult to be the last speaker in any session because everybody is saturated with technology, right? Too much technology. But please bear with me. I will try to be short and very crisp. And I'm not very technical. It is a lot of technology, but it's a lot of humanity as well. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Right. So what Huawei is doing, we are trying to be more intelligent. By meaning, we are trying to do things in a better way. So last night when I was looking at this ICT for intelligence, I was trying to understand what it means. And somehow it relates to digital transformation. Best example to understand is, if you go to a shopping mall, you will see, we have been having CCTV cameras since 1980s, probably. But we have always been using it for security purposes. We never thought that these cameras can be used to count the number of people, to do facial recognition, count the number of cars, look at the make of the car, and a lot more, right? So that's where the ICT for intelligence comes in. We use ICT to be more intelligent. On the other side, you'll see another portion which says intelligence for ICT. By intelligence for ICT means that we make our infrastructure more robust, more efficient, and more robust resilience to give us more, to get more out of less. Right. So Huawei is known to be a very innovative company. 2021, we actually jumped from number 10th to number 5th. That's the number of patents which we file every year in US. So we are innovating a lot, and we do focus a lot on R&D. Following that path, we actually are publishing a couple of white papers. These white papers are for different type of technologies, computing, cloud, and of course, we are doing it for storage as well. So we have recently published a paper on storage as well, and this presentation is actually related to that. What does that white paper actually cover? Right. Yeah, so when I looked at this topic, it's a bit of a mouthful, and I was like, what does it mean? Building a data-centric, trustworthy storage foundation for diverse applications. It's pretty mouthful, right? I mean, every time you read it, it's like you get lost. What does it mean? So let's try and, I like to spend some time on the topic itself because it helps me build the presentation, right? So it helps me tell you what I'm going to talk about. So this is very important. So there are 3 keywords. The main one is the data-centric. Then you have storage foundation. And then you have diverse applications. So the main keyword is still data-centric. So what does data-centric mean? So we humans, we give a lot of importance to ourselves. So for a long time, we thought that planet Earth is the center of the universe, and everything revolves around us. We like to give importance to ourselves, but then we realize that we are negligible, we are nobody, right? So we are not the center of the universe. Something similar happened in the IT world as well, right? When IT started, as my previous speakers were mentioning as well, we were focusing on application. So we thought that application is everything. So we put all our things around application. All the infrastructure which was designed was application-centric. But with time, we started realizing that that's not the case, right? What happens if you change the application, right? If you change the application, the biggest problem is the data itself. So if the data is hooked up to one application, and now you bring in a new application, how do you migrate from one application to another application? That also, application-centric gave birth to a lot of silos as well, right? So every time you have an application, you design a small infrastructure for it, and then you started having this mushroom growth of these applications. So we realized that actually it's not the application which is at the center, it's the data which is at the center. Because to be honest, data is the only persistent portion of your infrastructure. If you look at your infrastructure, normally infrastructure can be broken down into compute, storage, and network, right? Compute and network comes and goes, but your data is the only persistent portion of your infrastructure. So you have to come up with but data is always written on storage, right? So eventually it all boils down to storage. So you have to come with a storage foundation or a storage architecture which could persist, which could stay for a long time and serve different kind of application. And this is the meaning of this sentence which is written over here. Right. So to be able to design a data foundation, an architecture which is robust, which can persist, which can stick, which can stay for a long time. Huawei came up with these 6 things which that storage foundation should have. Unstructured data, diverse data, ransomware protection, or any kind of protection, because it's easy to generate data, but believe me, it's very difficult to protect it. Green data storage, power consumption is a big problem. Multi-cloud architecture, my previous speakers spoke about it. And last but not least, AI-powered storage. I'll spend like 1 or 2 minutes each, so please bear with me on each of these. So we already spoke a lot about data being produced, that the numbers are huge. And I always play this game with myself. Can I actually say gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte? Okay, I got it. So, right? So the numbers, I mean, let's leave it at that. The numbers are just staggering. The number of data which are producing is so huge. Each of our mobile data, every day we produce 1 GB of data. 100 of us here, 100 GB of data. 1,000 people multiply by 1 GB, multiply by 30 days, multiply by 360. But I have a different concern, to be honest. People are talking about it now, that we are creating a landfill of data. A lot of statistics are saying these days that the 60% of data which we produce is never ever used again. Right? So why have so much data and then spend so much effort on trying to, protect the data? Because most of us don't classify our data, right? So it's difficult to know which data is critical and which data is not critical. I know someone who would spam me with WhatsApp messages, right? Pictures and videos, and one day I got fed up and I called him, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you sending me so much stuff? Oh, I have free data. There is no such thing as free data. Each and every bit of data which you produce, it actually goes and sits on a disk somewhere. And so please, that's another challenge which is going to come up very, very soon, right? So normally data can be broken down into 2 portions. One is the unstructured data, one is the structured data. And I myself used to struggle, what's the difference between unstructured and structured data? So unstructured data is something which cannot be put into a tabular format, right? So can you put a picture into a tabular format? Yes or no? Can you put a picture into a tabular format? Yes, raise your hand. Right. So you can put the picture itself as a large block into a row, but you cannot put it into tabular format. Right? You can put the metadata of the picture into a tabular format, but the picture itself is considered unstructured data. The unstructured data, if you look from the beginning, it was all structured data. As my previous speakers were saying, that we started off with databases. And databases is a perfect example of structured data, right? But with time, you'll see that the unstructured data has almost become 80% and it will keep growing. This is because of the internet. The internet came in, the pictures came in, the videos came in, and the unstructured data just blew out of proportion. And now everyone is actually struggling to take care of unstructured data. So a lot of focus across the world is about storing unstructured data, right? So this is how the timeline, this is the second one, how the applications had diversified. Remember the main topic I was talking about, it had the last thing was the diverse applications. So with time, the applications have been going in a different direction. We started off with regular SAN storage, which is the most common legacy storage. Then we have unified storage, where the unstructured data came in, the internet came in. You need to share your data across different servers. And then now AI and intelligent storage is putting a lot of pressure on storage as well. By the way, I think if you talk about infrastructure, storage is the most stressful portion of the whole infrastructure, right? Because there's a lot of, and also we are blamed for everything. We are scapegoated for everything. Every time there's a problem in the infrastructure, the default bad guy is the storage, right? So, whenever you had distributed data or big data, what we have been doing is, or what everyone has been doing is, that you come up with blocks to grow. So you have a server and you have some storage. You want to grow, you add some more server which has some more storage, and that model kept going on. The problem with this model has been that there is a disparity between the amount of compute and the amount of disk you have. Because every time you wanted to add disk, you had to add compute, and every time you wanted to add compute, you had to add disk. The new model, the new way of doing it is that you decouple your compute from storage. So if you look on the right-hand side, I think this does have, yeah. So if you look at this one, this is the conventional way of doing it. So you have servers with disks, but with time, what we are doing, this one. But what we are doing with time is that the servers can expand independently from the storage itself. So this is called decoupling of storage from compute. Right. Ransomware data protection is very, very important. It actually helps you save your marriage. Why am I saying that? So last night while I was preparing for this presentation, my wife came in with a blue death screen of Microsoft Windows. And I said, what happened? She said, my laptop is crashed. I said, okay, that's fine, just reinstall it with the new Windows or something. She said, no, I have very critical data in it. So I said, didn't you back it up? And her answer was, why did I marry you? Right? So I said, okay, relax. So I actually used a live Linux USB, and luckily the drive was good. So I managed to copy all her data out and reinstall her Windows, and she went away happy. But I think I need to replace the Windows with Linux now. But you see, critical data for different people is different, right? So this is for my wife. At a personal level, she had some critical data which she wanted out. But for us, for enterprises, if you look at the number, is staggering. $1.85 million for each and every ransomware attack. By the way, ransomware attack is not a question of if, it's a question of when, right? So you will get hit, and you need to be prepared for it. What you need to do is you need to know how you're going to protect, defend, recover yourself from ransomware. Is going to come to you. And ransomware is not something where there's a silver bullet. It's not like you just take your Panadol and your fever is going to go away. No. Ransomware protection is a couple of things which you do. It's like your car. You have your seat belt, you have your airbags. So there are different checks and balances which you put in to be able to defend yourself against the ransomware. If you talk about Huawei in specific, I'll just give you a short example and move on. In our primary storage, we have AI algorithms which are running, which are monitoring the file entropy. File entropy, the easiest way to explain is, if as a user I come into the office every day, and normally I work on 10 Excel files, right? But then one day I come in and my user opens up like 1,000 Excel files. This is where the file entropy will notice that the randomness of the files is not which have been usual. So what our storage, primary storage will do is it will create alerts. It will not stop the storage, by the way, because if you bring the storage down, obviously it's a downtime. And what if you were wrong? You was actually opening up 1,000 Excel files. So we'll create alerts going to the administrators that we think that there is something wrong. Please double check. You can do a secure snapshot just to protect yourself. So you need to be ready for ransomware, and this is where Huawei has actually, I think. Nizar was showing you that we have a full architecture, because you need to, ransomware, what the people are doing is the moment they enter your network, before they destroy your primary storage, they try and destroy your backup storage. Because they want to be sure that once we destroy their primary storage, they have no way to recover. That is why people are coming up with different technologies to protect from end to end. Your primary storage, your backup, your DR, all the way you need to protect yourself from ransomware. So even if he manages to get your primary storage hacked, at least your backup storage will be safe. So ransomware is very important. So remember, once again, just to, we tend to go away from the main thing. These are the things which you need to have in your data storage infrastructure while you are architecting your solution, right? These are the critical points which you need to have or need to think about before you actually design your storage. Right. So we spoke about AI. AI here, the example is being given of autonomous driving. So autonomous driving has different levels, L1, L2, L3, L4, and there are definitions of what they are. For example, in L1, it was normal manual storage, but if you look at L2, the performance and capacity prediction assistance is there. And as we move into, different L, you will see that the storage is becoming more and more automatic. And the amount of data, once again, is horrendous. The one car produces around 64 terabyte of data every 24 hours. So imagine the amount of cars and the amount of storage you're going to need to be able to, store everything. Right. One other thing is, which a lot of speakers spoke before me as well, is about multi-cloud. Cloud is all about automation, orchestration, and I think everybody agrees today that there is no one cloud fix for everyone, so we're going to see a lot of hybrid cloud. So you will see that we actually focus on our storage being able to communicate with all types of private multi-clouds and public multi-clouds. And the storage can actually be connected to these private clouds, and also the data can be moved from data centers to public cloud as well. Here, once again, we are very proud as Huawei that OpenStack, we are one of the largest contributor to OpenStack. We are also the second largest contributor to Linux kernel code, right? So we do actually contribute a lot to the open source community. Yeah, if you know the number one contributor of Linux kernel code, you can always come and tell me after the presentation. Right. So being green is very important. My country was recently devastated by floods, and it's something not one country can do. So you will see that there are a lot of countries which are actually coming together to make things better. The amount of power consumption data centers are having is really huge. By 2030, they are saying that 8% of the world's power will be consumed by data centers. If you do a TCO calculation of a data center, let's spread it across 10 years. I think around 60 to 70% of the cost actually goes into power consumption. So that is why you notice a lot of my colleagues before me were talking about flash to flash. So going with the all-flash data center actually saves you a lot of money. And I was trying to tell my friend who sends a lot of WhatsApp that each terabyte which you produce, which goes to the data center, you actually it actually costs you 300 kilowatt per hour per terabyte per year. So it's a lot of power. And of course, replacing your regular drives with SSDs is actually planting 150 trees per year. This is for each one drive. So it is very important, and you need to cater to this also while you are designing your data storage solution. This is how our architecture looks like. So as I mentioned, the only persistent portion of your whole data center is the storage, right? And our products are Ocean Store Dorado, which is one of the all-flash storages, Ocean Store Pacific, which is a scale-out storage, Ocean Protect, which is a backup storage, and then you have Fusion Cube, which is our HCI. So this tier will stay persistent, and on top you have a DME, which is a data management engine, and it will communicate with everything which is above it. It has standard APIs, which can connect to all kind of private cloud or public cloud, and on top of that, finally, you have your application, which will come and go. Applications will increase, they will decrease, they will change, but the only thing which you need to make sure is that you are good at this layer. As long as your data is persistent, you know what you are doing, believe me, thank me later, if you design this layer correctly, you will avoid a lot of problems. Right. Moving towards the end, just some of the innovation which we are doing, right? At three layers, at the hardware, the software, and the application. At the hardware level, you will see that normally this is how your motherboard looks like. So you had two buses with your CPU. One is the DDR, which is used for memory. And then you have your PCI bus, which is used for other devices. So what we are doing is trying to come up with a global data bus. So all these buses will all converge into one, and you will get better performance out of it. Right. About the software, actually what happens is, I have a friend who, it's a QWERTY keyboard? I mean, we all use a QWERTY keyboard, right? I have a friend who is so crazy that he doesn't use a QWERTY keyboard. He says that QWERTY keyboard was designed with inherent latency into the keyboard. Because QWERTY keyboard was initially invented for typewriters, right? And if you type too fast on a typewriter, what used to happen was all those things will get entangled, right? So QWERTY keyboard has inherent latency built into it. The same goes with the software code which is used to access the disks. The SATA drives are, we predicted that the NLSAS drives are very slow. The software was written with keeping that in mind. So what we are doing with software is we're trying to bypass a lot of things to access the SSDs at a faster pace. So we are trying to optimize the software, the stack. Lastly, what we're trying to do is we're trying to move the compute closer to the storage. So instead of moving the data to the compute, this is more about edge computing. So you do your compute which is closer to the storage. Right. This is where you can download the white paper, but this is pretty much what the white paper has. You can scan the QR code and read the white paper. It's pretty interesting. It talks about all the 6 points which I talked about. This brings me to the end of the presentation. But before I say thank you, I like to leave with a thought. So if you do run infrastructure, I would recommend that you go back and look at it and see, is it really data-centric? If it's not, then you should put it in the center, and then you will see a completely different picture. And of course, if in the meanwhile, if you need help from our side, Huawei is there to help you with the journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Babar Haq, for sharing with us the content of the data storage white paper. With that, we have come to the end of the summit, and we'd like to thank our guest speakers for their wonderful presentations. I believe that we all have benefited greatly. To our online audience, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again in our next event. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded to submit the survey form at the exit and receive your Huawei gift. Thank you for attending this summit, and thank you for having me as your MC for this evening. Thank you.